you. Appreciate y'all coming out today. What we want to do is spend a little bit of time talking to what Oracle has to offer in the area of analytics. A lot of people see us as a database company from the fact that we've had one for 30 years, but we've actually, through acquisition and development of about $5 billion in annual cost R&D, have developed quite a portfolio of analytical capabilities. And I want to first set up kind of an introduction to the family of these analytical capabilities. And then what we're going to do is flow into some demonstrations and some talking points on individual pieces that I think make sense in the area of doing cyber security analysis or any type of audit analysis. And we have different programs where we've done just that. So I'll go through some of that. So we'll talk a little bit about challenges. We have some new products around fast data, and we have a product from our DECA lineage called Big Data Discovery that will allow you to do information discovery on unknown data sets. And then we'll talk a little bit about gold data, and that's why I talk about data that feeds and drives the mission, because it has to be right, has to be correct, and we actually support a lot of what we call multi-model data management within the Oracle 12c database now. I'll get into some of that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about a product that we have out on our Oracle Public Cloud service that has to do with it, specifically for cybersecurity and log analytics within your enterprise. And then my manager, Pat Sack, who is an industry veteran security professional, is going to be here on Thursday to talk about all of our defense offerings for your enterprise. And I'll give you a couple slides, kind of preview for that if we have time. So some of the challenges we've seen within particularly the military and DoD and some of the IC is the ability to have distributed sites be able to have a global distribution from central points, and so we have to be able to merge and transform information so that it can be presented from multiple sources into a repository that can be queried through analytics. And then we also have, I'm not going to really get into it too much within this presentation, but we have a product called Oracle Golden Gate that allows you to do replication among sites in a DDoS environment. But what I do want to talk to you about is there's a big push at our corporate development level to actually make our analytical tools user-driven analytics, so that you don't have to have IT involved in building out analytical dashboards and analyzing data. So what we wanted to do is get rid of having to have analysts be dependent on IT and developers and even data scientists in some cases. So that's kind of some of the tools we're going to show you. And then some of the other demands that we've seen is the ability to actually just automatically geo-reference data where possible. And I'll show you some of the capabilities of that with our Big Data Discovery tool. So we have a couple different ways that we view data in order to allow you to do analysis on it. We have the concept of fast data, and that's data that's coming in at a rapid rate. So that'll be your sensor data that you're taking off of various speeds and feeds. And we actually have a product called Oracle Stream Analytics that addresses that and allows you to do analysis on that data, routing and transformations and things. And basically what we see is that in certain cases that fast data may end up down here on the bottom into a swamp, because you might not know what is in there yet. Right? We call that the swamp, right? It's a mucky thing that we don't really know what's in there, right? So, but then a lot of times the data that's streaming in, the fast data that's streaming in, it goes into a lake, right? Because you kind of know where it is, and there's a lot of it, and you want to analyze it. And then what we see is having a data factory that allows you to actually do things like extraction, transformations, geotagging, entity extraction, things like that. And then that may move into what we call gold data, which, in Oracle's sense is, information that is critical to the mission. And so we can actually store that in a high availability platform on our Oracle database. And then a lot of the analytical side of this, we have kind of three concepts. We have big data SQL, which is a technology that we have that allows you to expose non-Oracle sources through a SQL layer, so that you can use a lot of different analytical tools that are out there on the market to apply SQL to non-relational data source. And then the query layer really is our bread and butter. That's where we run some of our business Oracle answers, we call it, business intelligence products. And then exploration and data discovery. And I'm going to get into that product pretty soon here, called Big Data Discovery. One of the other things that Oracle provides is we have spatial and graph as native data types within our database, and on the graph side we have what we call RDF format, and then we also have property graph, which is new, and that's something that was built by our Oracle Labs capability. About 60 different algorithms for looking at property graphs and finding relationships within those property graphs. For example, finding the biggest influencers in a crime network, or the biggest influencers in a sensor network. Different algorithms like that you would apply, and then we also do clustering based on common attributes and things like that. So real low-level stuff. So if you're interested in it, I've got more slides and can talk about it in detail. So just from a product side, our Oracle Stream Explorer was the one that I mentioned that does high-speed analysis of fast data, and then our Oracle NoSQL database is something that's similar, if you've heard of a Cumulo or HBase. It's a NoSQL database based off a kind of big table design, and that's a distributed database that Oracle grew out of something we had called Berkeley database. And so it's just available to you for for storing data temporarily that might be its lifetime might be short, or you want to make it available in a sharded fashion. The big data appliance is an engineered system that we sell that has hardware and software that's been optimized for Hadoop type workloads, but we also offer the capabilities, the software capabilities that come on that appliance as just standalone products. So, for example, our Oracle 12c database handles spatial, graph, JSON, XML, as I mentioned earlier. We have an Oracle Data Integrator product that would allow you to do transformations from, say, unstructured data or data that is in various different formats, whether it's a third-party database or Hadoop or other relational databases that are within your Oracle enterprise, and bring that together and do transformations and loading into a common repository. And then we have Oracle Data Quality Management, which is really around doing things like name and address correction, or entity name correction, things like that. We have loaders and connectors for Hadoop that allow you to load data from Hadoop data stores into relational or vice versa. And then the Oracle Big Data Discovery down there on the Data Lab is one of the first products that I mentioned earlier. That allows you to do information discovery on data sets that you may not know a whole lot about. And we also offer the R statistical package, which is a package. When I was growing up, it was SAS and SPSS, right? When I was young, right? That's what we used. But all the kids that are coming out of school now have used R. And so what Oracle did was actually took the R open source package, and we made it available within the database and in memory so that it can run in an optimized fashion against Oracle database workloads. And then on the analytical side over here on the right, we have Oracle Visual Analyzer and Oracle Answers. Those are technologies that allow you to do drag and drop type analysis on structured and unstructured data. But what we typically do is operate that on what I refer to as gold data before, and those two products come in our business intelligence suite, and I'm going to show you that product as well here in a minute. I mentioned Big Data SQL before. That allows you to issue SQL statements against against non-relational data sets, so that you can actually merge, both relational and non-relational in one spot. I won't go into too much of the marketing, but just suffice it to say, a company like Oracle, we have a lot of public-facing exposure to, if we're not doing things the right way from a technology stack, and the analysts have been receiving both our big data story and our analytical story very well. So we're up in the top quadrant in those two areas. I want to basically just finish off with a couple cybersecurity implementations that we did. Not finish off, excuse me, but I want to finish this section talking a little bit about some cybersecurity implementations that we've had, and give you an idea of some of our successes with this technology stack. And the view that we have on analytics is that if you have to do big data analytics and analyze make a lot of statistical calculations and build a lot of analytical graphs against a large data set, infrastructure matters. You can't go out and try to run this on very small, one or two server systems, if you're going to have a lot of analysts supporting it. So one of the implementations we had uses our Oracle. In the center there is our Oracle supercluster. This particular customer, and this is, let's just say it's in the federal space. This customer had a third-party audit reduction and analysis tool that I'm sure you guys can guess who it is, but they were having problems on the hardware they were on. And so what we did was we pulled in our engineered system, and we're able to meet all their SLAs, which essentially, they had support like 200 users, and they were having queries that were taking like 1 and 2 days to complete. When we put it on some of our engineered systems, we were able to actually get those query response times down under a minute for some of the ones that took a couple days. So, very big win there for everybody, customer and Oracle involved. And I can talk to you a little bit offline, but basically they had a lot of data retention requirements, and that's why you see the 5 ZFS. That's our storage device, right? When you're talking about audit data, you have to keep it around for 7 years for legal reasons, right? So a lot of this was analyzing both infrastructure and workstation audit logs for the purposes of if they needed to do anomaly detection and then also follow up with legal needs should an investigation ensue. We just finished a close on cybersecurity monitoring infrastructure that's basically set up. There's one of the integrators has a desktop tool that can actually record things like keystrokes, who you're messaging, what websites you're visiting. It's even integrated into the badging system on the different sites. And so what they're doing is desktop monitoring and also kind of digital messaging monitoring. And what they needed to do was to have again a lot of storage. We have even table libraries for backup. This is a fully redundant architecture, but what the main purpose of the system was, they needed to be able to collect and analyze data for threats, that they thought were coming through, just people working through their desktop, people that were doing things that they should have been within the environment. And what it does is basically allows them to, store and record what everybody is doing every day. But then if they get an anomaly detection, like for example, somebody logs into a facility without badging, or logs into a computer in a room, but they haven't badged in, right? Well, that means they might have, tailed somebody into that, that skip, right? And so, it'll go and look and see what they were doing. Why, when they did that tailgate, why are they, what are they doing after they did that, right? And so it allows them to replay that and what we call provide a camera on what it's almost like after the fact, monitoring of, when an alert happens, then the operator can decide whether it's a false positive or something they need to investigate further. So those are just two big things, and like I said, these are some of the proof points on some of the performance. But I want to get into some of the features for these products I was talking about with fast data. So the Oracle Stream Analytics is a two-part product that we have for fast data. And what that product does is allow you to design through a thick desktop. You can design your sources. So your sources could be a Hadoop database, a data store. It could be a REST data store. It could be something as simple as CSV. It could be another. Database. It could be an HTTP website. But the basic idea, though, is it gives you an endpoint to stream it in, and then what you can do is then design flows. So, for example, one of the things I showed at Dotus was we had ELINT data coming through, and whenever we saw a hostile, a ship that was categorized as hostile, it would send it up into one queue, and then that might go into an alerting and dashboarding area. But you can do branching on the data that's coming in at a high rate. Everything all runs in memory, right? And you're not necessarily storing the data, you're just doing analysis on it, right? So that's our fast data tool. It's called Oracle Stream Analytics. And then the other aspect of it is you can actually have, so you have people who design these flows, right? And they might be a little bit more technical, but then you can have analysts use the Stream Analytics capability to actually monitor what's going on and build charts and graphs within that, right? And this just gives you a little idea of what some of the interfaces look like, and some of the use cases that our corporate is designing this for. Again, IT detection and cybersecurity threats is a big one. Especially with our company, you might not think that we have the same type of needs as, say, the military or intelligence communities, but we're operating a very large public cloud now, where people are coming in and putting all their assets. So we're very concerned about, cybersecurity within our corporate infrastructure. So. And then one of the tools that is in Oracle, the Oracle database, is called Oracle Data Mining, and it allows you to do learning on data sets. So you can actually train the data. And in this particular case, one of the implementations that I did for a customer was we actually took audit data and we trained it based off of user and the action they were taking and where they were taking it, and things like the day of the week and the time of the day, right? And so what you can do is say, you can start to develop histograms and on when things are occurring, and you end up with this Oracle data mining model outputs for you a probability that a certain user might SSH to a machine on a Wednesday, right, or from 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, but so you can train these data mining models on your data, and then if you combine those models that you get output from your data mining with your stream analytics, right, you can start to use past performance to do things like route data or do anomaly detection, because an event that came through the stream analytics package didn't really fit your model, right? And these are all native capabilities in the products, right? You train the data, and then you can tell the stream analytics to go get me, make a web service call to actually pull back what the probability of this event occurring is. And this is just more examples of what the decision tree looks like when it comes out of data mining. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the Oracle Big Data Discovery, and for this one, rather than actually using the slides, I'm going to go ahead and show you the actual software. So, excuse me, I've been talking at Dotus for 3 days. I'm a little bit hoarse. Apologize. So Oracle Big Data Discovery is a tool that runs on top of a Hadoop infrastructure. Okay, so like Cloudera, Hortonworks, you know, the typical ones that people have been using, you know, that are not, you know, I'm going to build it for my own. Although you can put it on top of it. It really just requires HDFS, Yarn, Hive, and Zookeeper and Uzi, I think are the ones that, you know, if you guys don't know what those are, we can talk afterwards. But they're like the, you know, the underpinnings of what people are calling big data, which sometimes equates to Hadoop, right? So, and it's basically a way for you to store, you know, large amounts of unstructured data on commodity level hardware and have it clustered and sharded, you know, in a big data center, right? So if one node goes down, you have replicas, right? And you know, you can throw away the box because it costs you, you know, maybe after list price it costs you, you know, $900, right? So, but what you can do is if you have your data in Hadoop, this big data discovery will allow you to import it as a data set, right? Or you can have your IT folks do that, right? But you know, but you can also do it yourself, right? If you know where the data resides, whether it's in a database like a standard relational database, anything that has a JDBC driver, we can import this into big data discovery. And then if it's in Hadoop, it just, what it does is it reads the structure out of something called the H catalog within Hadoop, right? To find out what's in there, right? And you can have it go for specific data sets, or you can have it, you know, bring in everything. So, some of the data sets that I have in here, this is are some of the system logs, some of the system logs for HTTP and SSH on a machine that's out on the internet, okay? And in that machine, if you guys have ever put a machine on the internet, literally within about 20 minutes, you'll start to see activity on that machine, that, you know, activity you may not like. But we've also got, you know, some data sets here on the global terrorism database out of University of Maryland. We did some work with the DI2E Plug Fest recently, where we did typhoon response for a DCGSN naval exercise, where we put together a lot of these analytical tools. And I'm going to show you some of that scenario that we put out. What I wanted to do was, you know, this big data discovery one I think is very important for cybersecurity, because you're probably, you know, getting in a lot of data sets that you may not have seen before, and this tool will actually help you analyze what's in them. So the first thing that we'll do is give you an Explorer capability where you can actually go into the data, and it gives you kind of a default representation of that data. So, you know, you kind of get a sense of, you know, what kind of information is in that data, right? So, you know, you can see I have information in there on, like, you know, what internet provider was used from the IP that was trying to, you know, compromise the system that I had out there. And then you can also see, you know, there's things like, you know, the country where that provider is, right? So there's a lot of information that you can glean just by exploring the data here, okay? And then once you kind of know what it is, you might want to reshape the data or transform it. But by reshaping, what I mean is if you want to build a new data set that might be a summarization of that particular data set according to, say, country, or, you know, by the internet service provider. And I apologize for the delay here. It's running off my phone right now. But you can do, you know, things like you know, convert data from one format to the other. You can geocode data, but there's a transformation editor here, and I'll try to quickly show you some of it. Let me just pick one. So like I said, you can do simple conversions, right? If you have like in this one, it's a lat long in here, right? I can convert that to a geocode so that can then be used for spatial representations. Choropleth maps, what some people call thematic maps, are supported. We also have pushpin maps. I'll show you some examples here. You can also do things like entity extraction within that. So if you have a large text string, you know, that's just a flat file that you know, kind of pull into Hadoop, you can actually do entity extraction and find out things like, you know, emails, telephone numbers, you know, person names, things like that. And then, like I said earlier, if you want to do aggregations and joins, comments on different different attributes within the data. All that transformation is there, and what it is the analyst can actually go through, do those conversions, those reshapings, and then what it does is it puts it into a script, and then it basically just pushes it down onto the Hadoop infrastructure and runs map reduce jobs to actually either build the attribute, convert the attribute, create a new data set. And really what's important about that, if you know anything about the way Hadoop works, in order to get something done on a Hadoop data set, you have to have a Java program, right? And so this tool actually lets you do, for the analyst, invoke a lot of the things that they might ask the developer to do, and then push it down, to map reduce jobs, and then they just wait for the job to be done, and they've got the results that they need. And then the other aspect of this too, though, is you're not just limited to the libraries that we provide. You can have a developer build you transformation capabilities and then plug them into the architecture and then run them. And then I'm going to go to a different data set because this one's not fully cooked yet. This is the one I used to demonstrate the transformations. But I will go to the global terrorism database one because that one has the third tab is kind of fully populated, which is our Discover tab. And so you can see this, so I'm on the Discover tab for the Global Terrorism Database. And what I want to do is go over here and show you really quickly. There we go. Some of the visualization capabilities we have. So on the Discover tab, you actually are building dashboards that you can share with your colleagues. So as you're gleaning information from these unstructured data or data you may not know about, you can actually build out visualizations to kind of tell the story of what you think's in the data and why it's important. And so we support lots of different charting capabilities. Like I said before, we have maps, both choropleth and pushpin, and time series functions. What you see here is we've got a summarization bar. And I think one of my colleagues back in Dodos added this morning, but he actually did some summarizations on these little play cards here to basically show you what he found as to be some of the top events that he found out of the data set. And then you also have tag cloud capabilities. So if you wanted to see, for example, what were the numbers for anything that was radiological, right? It'll automatically go out and update all of the other visualization capabilities that are in there. So it's almost like you're doing active filtering on the data, right? So again, it's information discovery, right? You might not know exactly what's in there. You might not know which questions to ask, but by using these tools that are interlinked together, you can actually start to discover and ask questions without having to get people involved in programming what is needed to answer a question. And then again, I'll just show you a couple more examples on the bottom where we have some timeline type charting, but then you also have like a pushpin map of all those events that related to the radiological weapon type. So that's the big data discovery. And so I want to spend a little bit of time. I mentioned this at the beginning of the talk, but about what the Oracle database is compared to what you might have thought it was before. But what we've seen around the intelligence community and with some of our military customers is that after about 15 years ago, the big push was to share data. Right? And so now we see people sharing data. Right? The problem is people are sharing a lot of data, and there's a lot of data people don't know. What it is or where it is, and it's almost overload, right? And so what we found is that there's a lot of fragmentation. What people are doing is they say, I've got big data, I'm going to put that into Hadoop, right? That's not necessarily a bad idea, right? I've got relational data, but I've got 3 different vendors, and I've got them spread all over the world. I have no SQL data, right? When I'm going to buy a JSON type database for that, or some other one. And then I've got graph data, and I'm going to put it in this graph database that's really popular in the industry. XML, spatial, in memory, they all just kind of complicate that fragmentation issue, right? So Oracle has, we call this the polyglot model, right? And what it is people tend to have an infrastructure that looks like this, a different database based off a function, right? Well, what we want to support is something what we call the multi-model, which is basically you have one database infrastructure capability, one core piece of code, right, that actually supports all those different document types. So the Oracle Database 12c now, we support spatial, which we have for years. I'm sure you guys have customers that are using Oracle Spatial. It's been around for a long time. We support Oracle XML and Oracle Text. So we, and with spatial and with text, we provide Oracle indexing, which is how you do efficient access to data. So they're native data types with Oracle indexing capabilities. Our Oracle Text product provides the ability to do full text search. So you can, ingest data and actually, build full text indexes on it. So, I'll use the text that everybody seems to search that everybody seems to use now, but you can do a Google-like search on your data with Oracle Text. Oracle Text also provides some entity extraction capabilities, and I'm going to show you some of what we did in that naval exercise with the entity extraction. I mentioned earlier we support two types of graph, so RDF and property graphs. And if you're familiar with what graphs look like, graphs are have the ability to show you relationships in the data that maybe you didn't know existed. And we've done some very large implementation and benchmarks on this with the actual Intel community. Our commercial sales folks actually reference this federal project because we did 1 trillion triples. And if you know anything about RDF, that's a lot of triples, a lot of relationships, and they were able to query things with under 10 seconds on something that large. It was like I said on our engineered platform, our Oracle Exadata. Like we said, when it comes to analytics, infrastructure matters. But regardless, the customer didn't really care what servers we brought to the table. They were happy with the result, that they could have that many relationships in a graph and have their analysts query it in under 10 seconds. And again, just I've talked about these before. We support JSON and obviously relational in the database. And I showed you a little bit about the data warehouse data mining earlier, about how you can use that to train your data sets. So all those different data types are supported natively within Oracle and have native indexing on them. And this is just more kind of the same thing. If you want more details about our support, I can talk for different kinds. I can talk to you a little bit about that. And then I wanted to touch real quick on the Oracle Data Integrator. This product is like the Oracle Stream Analytics. We have a studio component to it where you design how your data transformations and data flows are going to go from source to sink. And as you can see on the left here, we support a number of different data stores, right? I mean, anything from JSON to CSV to third-party databases. And then what you can do with it is you can actually take it and do a transformation from one format to another, right? So say you want to go from MongoDB to MarkLogic or MongoDB to Oracle, right? You can do that, right? And the person will use the studio to design that flow, right? And then what you can also then do is then push on the right side, like I said, you can push that out to a Hadoop infrastructure if you like, or you can push it into another database, right? So it really depends on what the flow is. But what we wanted to do though with this data integration is provide for you the ability to monitor all your data transformations and model them for a number of different data sources, so that you don't have to keep buying this converter or that converter from one format to another. Oracle continues to spend R&D dollars to support these different data formats because we're actually seeing them in our Oracle Public Cloud. So we have a lot of people wanting to take their data and put it in the cloud, and they need help getting it transferred over there, right? And it may be in a certain format. They want to put it in another format for use in a particular service that we're providing or a particular custom app that they're providing. So I didn't really go into the user interface for that. And I think I touched a little bit on Oracle Big Data SQL. One of the more recent things that I've been working on with this is a Cumulo integration. Cumulo is a NoSQL database that's used a lot in the federal space. It's got a lot of popularity, particularly because it has cell level security. And we've been able to get it to, it worked out of the box with our Oracle Big Data SQL product. And so what that means is you can keep your data in a Cumulo or HBase or one of these other ones, these other vendors, and you can run tools like that big data discovery tool I showed you. You can actually just point it to the Oracle database that's just acting as almost like a real-time transformation proxy, and you can actually run the big data discovery on your Cumulo, even though the big data discovery doesn't support a Cumulo natively, right? So again, it's a strategy for enabling SQL, which is, from my perspective, is you're going to have more people who know SQL as opposed to writing Java code to go against Hadoop, right? So, and you have more tools out there for reporting and analysis and things like that. They say, oh, would you support SQL? Well, yes, we do. So, you just go through the Oracle database to do that. So, again, it's about empowering the end users to get results without having to hire programmers. This slide gets into some of the analytics that we provide within that data mining tool. We also provide these in various forms out and in memory on middleware. So they've kind of lifted the algorithms out of the database and made them available almost as an API. And I won't go into them. I know some of them. I was a math major, but but I'm not a statistician by trade. But I will tell you though, like the support vector machine under the classification tab is how I built those probabilities for auditing, right? And I think the other one the other area that's of interest to y'all is clustering. So if you have a big corpus of data and you want to see how is it related to, according to different attributes, clustering is an algorithm that lets you kind of build communities of common data records, based off of some attribute. Lots of different things in there. Anomaly detection, obviously, would be another one. Okay, so I'm going to do that real quick, and let me just go in and show you dashboard. So this is our Oracle Business Intelligence product, and this tool in particular in the business intelligence is called Oracle Answers, and what it allows you to do, I hope I'm not logged out. What it allows you to do is you can say, I want to do analysis on structured data that I have, right? And so what I've got is a couple different subject areas here. We did, for GeoInt, we did some analysis of the Zika virus, some social media posts that people were doing on Zika virus. I have that global terrorism database in there, and then the typhoon response. But what you can do is you can basically just pick a subject area that you're interested in, and those subject areas come from the data modeler who actually exposes relational, or we can also do Hadoop. We can do a lot of third-party relational databases, Oracle, the other vendors. I just don't know if I'm really good at that to say that. But the basic idea, though, is you have all these different presentation tables. So we have things like piracy reports, hospitals, things like that were in the data sets that we loaded. But literally, in order to build reports, all you have to do is just drag the information you're interested in, and then what you can then do is see the results on a results tab, and then once you have the results, you can then start using charts and graphs and various other things to then build up dashboards. Okay, so you just drag and drop. I'm not running out of internet use here. We'll run back over to the ones we already have running. Let's see. I'll just show you a couple of the different visualizations that we have in there. But it is, like I said, it's drag and drop type of analysis package. And then, like this particular one is, just a standard pie chart, not very exciting. But what we're trying to show with this one is that we use the Oracle text on the message traffic that naval ships were sending in on where they went. Like they went to the various points during this typhoon and dropped off, humanitarian aid, right? And they would have lat long information in there. They'd have the names of towns, the names of people, the names of military personnel. And what Oracle text can do is actually extract all of these different things natively from a text document. Same thing I showed you in Big Data Discovery where they have entity extraction. You can also customize. Like I knew that if you looked at the messages, I knew how, like if it started with an S and was followed by a number, I knew that was the start of a lat long coordinate, right? So, so I could do those types of extractions from the text and build up a model of entities, and then I can show that in RDF. But there's also a lot of interesting different capabilities in the business intelligence. Like in this particular one, what I did was once we extracted the entities, we actually could then geocode their location from those lat longs. And we also knew the time. The messages also had the time that they visited these various points. And so we have something called a radar graph, which if you look on the wheel here, these are the hour and the minute, right? And so we could see from the perspective of a particular vessel when during that scenario did they come in contact with another vessel or another hostile person. So, and then I'll show you just real quick a couple other visualizations that Oracle provides. I think one that might be of interest to you for business intelligence and kind of structured data is we also have something called Map Viewer, where it allows you to build your own customized maps. So in this particular one, I'm showing this. It's a little slow over my phone line here, but it'll get there. But what I have is basically shows naval vessel tracks, what those vessels were doing, and then I've mashed it up with things like ports and hospitals and things like that. I'm hoping that the map will come. It's still thinking. But what you see there that's rendered now is the data that we actually took out of the database. It's trying to pull down the Google map right now. I used as a background. We'll come back to that. And then the last thing I wanted to talk to you about a little bit was the story that I mentioned at the top of the hour with our Oracle Public Cloud. Our Oracle Public Cloud obviously is a commercial cloud, like just like you would see from Microsoft or Amazon, right? And it's a very big industry trend, obviously, because what people start to realize is they spend a lot of time trying to figure out IT, and that wasn't their mission, was to figure out IT. Spend a lot of time, a lot of money. So this whole concept of cloud came along. And so we're offering a lot of different things. We offer data management, right? Our database in the cloud. We can give you infrastructure, right? We can give you Spark as a service now, Solaris machines. We can give you, infrastructure as a service with Linux, right? So, and then what they also have is we have a log and security analytics capability, and that one is one that I want to focus on a little bit. One of the things that you might be saying to yourself as well, I can't use your Oracle Public Cloud for my data, right? So what Oracle has done, though, is we've taken our engineered systems approach and we've developed something called the Oracle Cloud Machine that allows you to bring Oracle's cloud and all of our products on-premise, okay? And then what happens is you're not buying the machines, you're not buying the software, you're buying a service. Oracle comes in, gives you the equipment, okay? And I'm so bad at the names there. Oracle comes in, deploys the equipment. You use it for the standard contract that you agreed to, and then if you want to upgrade maybe later to something that's more powerful or something that's new, it goes with it. Oracle owns the equipment. When you're done, we come and get it, right? What Oracle does, though, is we actually patch this on Oracle Cloud machine. So every month when the people patch the real Oracle Cloud, they'll actually come down and put those patches on your environment, okay? And so right now we offer database infrastructure of Java, right? But all those other services that we offer in the cloud, and I have to make this a safe harbor statement, but the log analytics would be one that would eventually make its way onto the Oracle Cloud machine. And what the log analytics is it allows you to coalesce audit logs from your infrastructure or from your own source, whatever those logs may be, right? Now, Oracle's approach to cybersecurity is three-pronged, right? We look at your infrastructure and your application performance and what's happening on the network, right? Because you may be seeing a network spike because you've got, if we use a military scenario, right? There's an engagement, right? And so people need more intelligence, right? And you're having a network spike because you've got warfighters that are actively using the systems to try and execute missions, right? And so that doesn't necessarily mean you're under a cyber attack, right? So you might see that the application logs support that concept of having a spike in the application usage. But if you have a network spike and the apps and the databases are remaining relatively idle, that might be indicative of somebody trying to get into your network, right? So Oracle tries to look holistically at a lot of different logs to determine whether there's a cybersecurity threat or not, or whether you need to get more infrastructure because it's not keeping up with the demand, right? So it's both security and performance that we're concerned about, right? Because if either one of those is compromised, we lose customers, okay? So that's the crux behind our log analytics. What we've done, I'll just give you, like I said, the topology awareness was kind of what I was talking about before, right? We know what a network looks like. We know what servers look like. We know what databases look like. So we provide you a topology view of your enterprise. I've also worked with a lot of really smart people in this group that we have called Oracle Labs. They're mostly PhDs that have been working on information management strategies for decades. These guys actually put machine learning logic into the log analytics, and I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. And then it also, like a lot of our other tools, you can create dashboards that suit the types of reports that you want to run on log analytics. So I'll tell you a little bit about some of the machine learning capabilities that are in there. But basically, what you have in logs are things that are very similar to one another, and they differ by like the time of day and who the user was and maybe the object. So one of the machine learning things that it does is to say, there's a generic concept of unable to create file, right? That is a generic pattern that happens a lot, right? But what is an outlier is somebody somebody getting granted a super user privilege, right? So it looks at kind of like what I showed you before, the probability of an event happening, right? It looks at that as well and tries to determine what might be outliers, right? So that you can be alerted on those. And that's just one example of some of the machine learning that, as the system is used over time, starts to get smarter about what's common and natural and what's unnatural. And I have a little demo. I think I have it started over here. So I've got a little demo here on the log analytics. It's a little click-through demo. But what they did for this particular demo was they looked at a ride-sharing application. So, like if you're familiar with Uber or Lyft, right, and that sort of thing, they were looking at the different alerts, different logs that were coming out of that. So they had databases and middleware and servers and networking and all that. But what it allows you to do though is to build, some. It allows you to build some. Dashboards about some of the events, that are business events or IT events. But if you kind of look at this this tool here. This kind of looks like that business answers tool that I was showing you before. What it allows you to do is look at the attributes down here that are related to log events, and then you can interact with the graphs and the data in a dashboard manner. And so, for example, they want to, if you want to, show certain fields, do certain group bys, you just drag and drop some of that information into the, selection area, and then these log tables and the log charts automatically update themselves. So again, kind of like I showed you with big data discovery and with answers, it allows the analyst to actually ask questions of the data, in an interactive manner. And so all of the visualizations, all of the tables, anything they're looking at gets automatically updated as they're working with the data. And it just goes through and shows some different examples on that. So I just wanted to kind of show you what our log analytics capability looks like out in the cloud, and let you know that it's like our other tools. We tried to make it very user friendly. And the last topic, and I still got 4 minutes left, is like I said, my boss Patrick Sack will be here Thursday. Is he talking 11?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock, yeah. He more than me, but we both worked on a lot of security products in the Oracle database. The Oracle database has been around for about 30 years, and we've had there's so many security features in the database now. It's mind-boggling. But he's going to talk a little bit about his view on how you trust people, how you trust the infrastructure, and how you trust the data. Right? And this is going to be more of a defense in depth type topic.
I had a question about the previous slide.
Oh, okay.
You talked about
The machine learning or the
law.
Oh, okay.
My question is that I know you spoke before about how the unit would, the organization would leverage your capability, and you would provide everything within our firewall structure. So the question is, will all of the analysis need to occur at that home station, or is there ability for a remote location to have respect to leverage that capability?
Yes. This user interface you see here is all web-based, right? So so that cloud machine would be maybe in a central location, right? And people, your enterprise could ship logs to it, right? Or you could have, it could be if you wanted to do it by like say different commands, right? So you have maybe one's CONUS, one's out in Africa, one's out in Asia or whatever, right? And you can actually replicate up with our technology, but the idea though is it's a web-based interface, so anybody who can reach that central location could use the tools. But
so
you have
VPN capabilities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But the idea though is they need to be shipped to a central place, so that you can do more combined analytics on the corpus of what you're seeing. Which makes sense if you think about it. Even if you have servers that are distributed, an attack, a cyber attack, or a spike in usage could be coming from any geographic region. So having a holistic view of your worldwide operations is advantageous, right? But you would want to have that centralized log collection repository to be in one place and then ship all the logs to it. But
so without going into any work-related stuff, for example, like we're in a brigade, teaching brigade. Now our team go out to many different locations. They got to say themselves in those locations and do their work there. That's the question. Can they do their work in that location and have the same results or have the same quality?
Yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. That's fine. Yeah. If you have, like I said, if you want to be isolated, that's fine. We have the product that I mentioned at the top of the hour called Golden Gate. That'll allow, if you have to replicate, and you're worried about comms going down, the Golden Gate is completely fault tolerable to that. It just queues up, right, if it needs to do that. But if you need to operate alone, like I said, all of our products that are run in the cloud, you know, the core infrastructure databases, the analytics, all that stuff, they're offered as an on-premise option. You can purchase licenses for just what you want, right? Now, this log analytics will probably only be delivered on that cloud machine, so that would probably be something you'd have to look at there, right? But some of the other things I showed you, like the big data discovery, the Oracle Stream Analytics, the business, the OBI answers, you know, those things are all things you can buy today, right? All those analysis tools are offered today, you know. And I was showing you ones that, you know, that we used to build demos and stuff. Okay. But yeah, so well, just to finish up on the presentation real quick, you know, let you guys. I know I'm holding you guys from probably a social hour, but oh, we missed it. I'm sorry. But he's going to talk a little bit about, you know, how you trusting people, trusting systems, and trusting data. And then, you know, those are some of the breaches that we've seen. But the biggest pattern that we've seen is that, you know, your most valuable assets are typically in the data store, right? But the amount of money that's spent on security is on network security. Right? And I'm not saying network security is not a good thing. You got to have both, right? But you know, the database, you want to make sure that if they get through the fence, they can't get into the house, right? You know, because the house is where all the valuable goods are, right? And you can take your lawnmower, you know, but you know, just keeps you less busy on Saturday. But we're going to talk a little bit about how we have an enterprise management product that allows you to do IT management management of all your IT assets, databases, operating systems, that sort of thing. And he's going to talk a little bit about how you keep those systems in compliance with security policies. And then talk at the database level about the technologies that we've developed over the last 30 years on encryption of data at rest, encryption of data in motion. We have a product that actually came out of the IC called Label Security that allows you to do capcode labeling on your data in the database. And then we also do privileged user controls. So he's going to talk about some of those database products. We just wanted to give you a flavor of you know, kind of what his talk is going to be about. So if you're interested in